Hi, it's Cheryl. Welcome to Homeward Studio. For today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 Christmas crafts I made with Dollar General clearance items. I can hardly wait. I have a lot to share with you, so let's go make something. Okay, here's what I picked up from Dollar General. 90% off. This was $5. I got it for 50% or 50 cents. This piece was $3. I got it for 30 cents. Can you believe this? That's why they only have these 3 pieces left, or I would have grabbed more. This, same thing, $3. I got it for 30 cents. And I thought, you know what, I can make Christmas stuff out of all this. This ornament was from Dollar General. It wasn't on clearance because, you know, it was a Christmas ornament, but it was only $1. And to me, it's a pretty good ornament, and it would look beautiful on a tree, but I'm doing this with it. So here's how I made this. Now again, that was 30 cents. And then I did pick up this material from Hobby Lobby a while ago. And I have this little Dollar Tree candle holder and that ornament. I have some Mod Podge. I have some plaster chalk paint. And then I have the Distress Oxide in the color Black Soot. So now I just mix the chalk paint with the Mod Podge because I'm going to paint the glass piece, so I want it to adhere. And so I go over this whole thing, and I'm using a fan brush here because I like how it gets in the grooves and stuff. And I'm only going to put 1 coat on it for now. Now after that's all dry, and it has to be dry, I take this little dabber sponge and dab on the second coat. And it's, you know, with the Mod Podge chalk paint mixture. And it has to be completely dry before you put the second coat on, or you will literally pick the paint right up off of the piece. So after that was all dry, I put another coat of Mod Podge on it to seal it in. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm just going to cut out a piece to fit inside. But you can see the blue flowers through the material. So the way that we remedy this is, I'll show you in a second. Oh, I guess I'm going to take my little blue pencil and trace the top there too. I forgot about that. And I'm just going to cut that arch out. And then now I am just taking, I want it frayed. I like the one end, how it was very frayed, but I knew that I really couldn't do that, make it look like that, so I had to cut that off. And that's just how they give it to you when you buy material by the yard. So I just frayed it as best as I could all the way around. And I did it on all of the sides because I really wanted all of the edges to look frayed. Okay, so this is how I remedy that. I just took the plaster chalk paint and I painted it right on top. You don't need a lot, just 1 coat, 1 thin coat just to cover most of it. And then you won't be able to see it. You could also use a dark paint too, but obviously I wanted to use the white because the plaster is basically the same color as this picture or this frame. So then I put Mod Podge, after that was dry, I didn't show you, I'm sorry. I put Mod Podge on top of the paint, and then I let that dry. I put the material on it, and then I put a coat of Mod Podge on top of that. And what happens is this will sink into and absorb and press the material right into the frame, and then it hardens, and it looks really beautiful at the end. So now this candle holder, I just took the Distress Oxide and I just distressed it. And it is in the color Black Soot. And now I'm just taking a baby wipe and wiping off the extra or the excess. And then I'm just going to take this tree and I put some hot glue on it. And I'm going to put the type on quick and thick glue where the hot glue is not. And I'm just going to press that right into the center of the frame. I just love this ornament with this striped material. I think it's so pretty. And this was so easy and very, very inexpensive. And then I had a little red bow here that I had made previously, and it's a velvet red bow. And I just put it on top of the tree, and I had a little scrap of that material, that red and white material left, and I just glued a little scrap of material on there. And I'm angling the ends here. And now I'm going to put that on top. I don't like the hole on top of the candlestick, so I took a little wine cork and I cut a little piece off and I popped it down in there. I glued it down in there. And then now I have that little extra paint left. Poured a little bit too much on my plate here, and I'm just painting that top there. And then I did use E6000 and hot glue and then glued it on. And this is how it turned out. I love, love, love this piece. And you know, if you have a finial, a small finial, or you can even use a little wood bead, or you can put two wood beads together, a small one and an even smaller one, and put it on top, that would look amazing. That was my afterthought, and I'd already filmed this. Okay, number 2. And here's what this piece looks like after. And here is what I used. Okay, so I have this piece and it was 30 cents. And I have this decoupage paper. It is Roycycled and it's called Holiday Plaid. I did get it last year in a Sonnett's box. I have some ribbon, and then I also have this Fusion mineral paint, and I got this in my Sonnett's box as well. It's Everett and Highlander. And I have some of these little pieces here. I got these from Walmart, I think, last year. I know they have them again, these little tags. They're super cute. I use these quite often. I always pick them up. They're like $1.99. And then I have some picks. So the first thing I'm going to do is just remove that little tassel there, because it had a pink bead on it and I wanted to put a different tag on it, obviously. And I just put that in my stash for another time. And then I did go ahead and put a coat of white paint or plaster on top of this to hide those flowers, because you will see them through the paper. So you can paint it a dark color or you can paint it a light color just to cover them up. And when that was all dry, I did put Mod Podge on it. I did not show you. And then when the Mod Podge is all dry, I put the paper on. I made sure that the lines were straight and they were even. And then I put the parchment paper on there, and then I just used my press and pressed it down. And then I'm just removing the extra paper. First I cut off the big chunks, and then I used my little file sander and my nail file, and then I filed it off. Now I have this red Fusion mineral paint. And I'm just going to paint the handle. I do not paint the back of this piece. I guess you could. If I were to paint it, I would have painted it like a dark color, like a gray or a black or something. But I painted the entire handle. I had to give it 3 coats of the red, and then everywhere else I painted in this gray color. And then now I'm just taking some picks I had in my box of little pieces, and I'm just gluing some holly leaves on there. And then I figured out which tag I wanted to use, and I'm going to pop that on there. And a big thank you to all of my subscribers. And if you're not subscribed, come join my Homeridge Studio family. It is totally free, and this is what helps my channel grow. And I thank you, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm just adding more picks and berries. And I did rough this up a little bit, as you can see on the top and the side and the handle there. And I love this piece. This could be a tier tray piece, This could be a little shelf sitter. It's cute. It's a little farmhouse. If you have a little shelf, you can just put a little pop of Christmas in your farmhouse shelf. And yeah, I love this piece. And last but not least, here's number 3. And this is so cute, you guys. I just love this piece. So again, this was 50 cents. How can you beat that? You know, it's got that nice big wooden bead handle. And yeah, the nice platform there. And I have some snow, and I did not use it. And I could still add it, but I didn't. I forgot, I guess. I have the bells. Now I have these lights, and I don't have the link because they were in my husband's Amazon. He ordered them for me, but basically this was $9.99. That's why I'm showing you the package up close. You get 12 of them, so they're less than $1 each. And I have that little deer. I had thrifted a pack of those a while ago, and this is adorable. You get those from the Dollar Tree. I love that. When I first saw it, I grabbed one. I'm like, I'm going to make something with that. So anyway, I have some Jenga blocks or tumbling tower blocks. I also have some more picks and those little brush trees and some ribbon, antique wax. I have this apple barrel acrylic paint in the color Christmas green. How appropriate. And then I have some Snow Tech. I got that from Hobby Lobby. And I'm just, excuse my voice, I am a cold again. Now I've had one last month and one this month. This is getting crazy. I wonder if it's allergies, but I've had it for over a week, and it was a head cold, and then it went into my chest. But now it's a tail end. I feel much better. I have energy, and that's why I didn't post anything last week. I had no voice, and it was just constant coughing. But anyway, I'm feeling better. Enough about that. Let's get on with this project. So I painted those beads green, as you can see, and I did tape the top and the bottom so I didn't get paint on anything else. And I wanted the platform to be longer so I could put the train on it. So I took the tumbling tower blocks, and I have some wood glue here, and I'm just gluing them together. So 4 on each side, just to make it longer. And I did put a little bit of hot glue on there. And I let that dry. And while that was drying, I just put on some disposable gloves, and I have the antique wax, and I'm just kind of rubbing it all over these green beads. They were too green for my liking. I wanted it to be a little bit more antique-y looking. And then I took a baby wipe and kind of rubbed some more on here and there, made sure I got in between all the beads. And yeah, that's what it looks like. I think this turned out. This is exactly what I was looking for, this color. So now I took 3 more tumbling tower blocks, and I just glued them together because I'm going to put the trees on them, and I wanted them to be above the train. And you'll see what I mean in a second here. Now I have this car cloth, and you can get this from the Dollar Tree, those white car cloths. I use those a lot, particularly in the my Christmas and winter crafts. And so I just had this little scrap here, and I'm just going to kind of fit this all around the top of it and hot glue it in everywhere. Now if you need to piece this together, the car cloth is very forgiving. You can easily piece this together. And so I'm just gluing it all the way around, pulling it down. And then on the bottom, you can just cut out another piece to make it look all, so you don't see all the jigs and jags on the bottom of it. I didn't do it for the sake of this video, but if I were to give this to somebody or sell it, I would definitely cut out like a triangle and then hot glue that on the bottom there so you don't see all the fussy work. Okay, so I have this train, and it's so stinking cute, you guys. If you haven't seen them, if you haven't picked them up yet, pick them up. Oh, so many things come to mind. for these, but I'm just gluing the train on here, and I'm also hooking them together and gluing the hooks together so they don't slip off. And now I have a few of these bottle brush trees, and I'm just going to glue them on top of those 3 blocks that I glued on there earlier that I covered up with the car cloth. And that's how it looks. And now I have that little shiny deer. And I'm going to put him on there. And I did buy some little teeny plastic deer from Hobby Lobby, but I don't think I had them at this time. I don't remember, but I had that in my stash, so I figured I'd use that. But they do have little teeny plastic ones if you want to make anything like this. And then I just have a pick in my stash. I have a box full of little odds and ends and bowels and doohickeys and berries and leaves that, you know, I pick all my picks apart. I pick all my picks apart. Anyway, must be the cough medicine going to my head. Anyway, I'm just making these a little bit smaller. I think they were too big, these holly leaves, and I glued some on there. And I have, just like I said, little pieces, and I'm just gluing all these little pieces up here on top, some berries. And so I'm going to show you, if you have paint or a red marker, a red Sharpie, whatever, that's what you can do with the berries. If you try to pick them off or cut them off, it'll just pull the coloring off of another berry, so I always just color mine in. And I'm just building this up to my liking. And now here's what I should have done first. I should have hung the bells, but instead I was excited to put the little leaves and berries on there, and I forgot about the bells, so now I had to kind of maneuver and put the bells underneath that, but it worked fine. And this was $2.99. If you have an at-home store, you guys, I went there the other day. I should do a short. I took some footage. I was blown away. I haven't been to our at-home store, and it's only like 20 minutes away from here. Wow, let me just tell you, wow, they didn't miss anything. They have everything that you can imagine. Every single color in every Christmas. I could have stayed in that store for like 5 hours, but I was with my good friend Lacey from Lacey's Space. Go check her out if you already haven't. I will put her link in my description box below. I was there shopping with her, and she kind of has a bad leg, and I took her shopping all around town that day, and she was like, okay, I gotta go home. My leg is getting really sore. But boy, I dragged her everywhere, but we have a lot of fun together. So yeah, we bought a bunch of stuff, and I'm sure she's gonna be crafting with what she found too. So anyway, I'm just telling you my whole life story here. I took those lights and I just wrapped them around that whole pole, and then the very end I wrapped around the Christmas trees, or the trees in the background, and then I have this ornament from the Dollar Tree, the Merry Christmas gold one, and I just glued that right up on top along with a little bow, and this is what it looks like. And this is so stinking cute, you guys. I love it. I just can't get enough of this. Every time I looked at it, I'm like, oh, I just love this. And that train, oh. Anyway, this is what it looks like, and this is the whole shebang, all 3 pieces together. And now you could use that as a shelf sitter, or you can hang it. If you wanted a shelf sitter, just cut the beads off, and then you can use the beads for another project. But isn't it cute? Probably, I don't know. Which one is your favorite? I do like this one, but I also like the tree on top of the candlestick. Okay, and if you have not seen my other videos, here's just a taste of some of the stuff I have already done this year. Not everything, but a few things. I haven't had a lot of Christmas videos yet because, you know, like I said, I wasn't feeling well and I kind of missed a whole week. But I do thrifts, and I do budget friendly. I do design. That was a thrifted piece. The tray was a thrifted piece. And that's it. I hope that you enjoyed my video. And like I always say, this is all I have for today, but you know I'll be back real soon. And until then, have a blessed week. Bye.